Hi guys, and so next I'm going to show you how you can use the data reader to extract data from your database and use it further along in your program. So what we're basically doing is we're extracting it from the database, which we're only going to display in the data grid view, and then moving the data to the list box. But just to clarify, I'm not moving the data grid views items to the list box. I'm going to use the data reader and extract the database items to the list box. So I see some of you in your practicals, you extract the data from the data grid view to the list box using the rows and the columns of the data grid view. Now, in a way that's correct, but for this module, you're not going to get marks in the exam if you don't use the data reader. We specifically look for the data reader. So make sure in your next practicals, when we ask you to extract data and stuff from the database, you need to use the data reader. Okay, so let's get started. First things first, we need to add our data reader, and I also, let's call it the reader. So I also declare it publicly because you can use it in more than one method, so it will be redundant code when you redeclare it each time. So in our move button, we're only going to use our command and our connection and of course our data reader. Okay, so when you only want to extract the data from the database, it's not needed for the adapter or the fill method of the data set or anything. So let's first open the connection as always. And next we're going to have a SQL statement as we did in the display button. So let's select all of the records from the student table. So as we go along in the command, I'm going to show you that whatever your statement is here, if you said only select the course from student table, the data reader is only going to have the course data because that's what you said in your SQL statement. But that will make sense in a minute. So let's keep it all and let's make a new command, SQL command, and we're going to give it the SQL statement and the connection. In the first video, I told you to declare the command and the connection and the stuff publicly. Here you can see that I'm not using redundant code because I've defined them here, but I'm only declaring them separately in each of the methods. Okay, that will be fine. So next we need to execute the reader and then assign it to the data reader we have created here at the top publicly. So to do that, we're going to say the reader equals our command, and then it needs to execute the reader from our command statement. So that's what I said earlier. The command, so the SQL statement that you give, that you type here, is going to be assigned to the reader. So if you only have course there, it's only going to have the course information, like information, technology, communication, etc. But if you type in all, it's going to have the entire databases or the entire tables data. Okay. So from here it's pretty straightforward. We're going to loop through the reader using a while loop. So we're going to say while the reader dot read. So this is a method in the SQL reader, which means each time this line executes, which means each time it iterates through the while loop, it's going to move to the next record of your SQL statement. So the first time the while loop is going to read the first line, next time it's in the while loop it's going to read the second line, the second record, third time third record, fourth time fourth record. Okay. So it's pretty simple. We're going to say listbox data.items dot add the reader dot get value. Now, getting values from using the data reader, there is a number of ways you can do it, but I like to use the get value method. So the get value method wants an integer as a parameter. So the integer you need to give him is the column of the record you want to show. So in our table, we first have our student number and then our name and our first name. So student number is going to be column 0, first name is going to be column 1, surname is going to be column 2. Okay, because the computer always starts to count at 0. So the first column is going to be 0, and let's just put a tab in. The reader, let's display the second column, get value, display the second column. Let's just add another tab, the reader dot get value, display the third column, another tab, the reader dot get value, display the fourth column, and then the reader dot get value, display the fifth column. So once again, it's the first column, second column, third column, fourth column, and the fifth column. So each time it iterates through this while loop, it's going to iterate through the table in your database using the query that you've provided over here. Okay, so this all means there's now going to be 5 columns in my table, but once I put in course, it's only going to be 1 column, which means this is going to result in an error because there's not 5 columns anymore, there's only 1. So make sure of that. So let's just turn that back to all. And as always, we need to close the connection because we are done with the query. Okay, so let's run. Like I said, you don't need the adapter or anything when you're performing this simple query using the data reader because you're not displaying anything in the data grid view. Okay. So we're going to connect, successful, display, and let's move the data. Okay, so we have first column, second column, third column, fourth column, and the list box now only small enough for that. Okay, so here I can display it better, explain it better for you using the data reader. When you execute this reader command, this one, it starts at the first record, and once it looped through the while loop, it's going to go on to the second one, looping again, third one, looping again, fourth one, looping again, fifth one, and so on and so on and so on. And it's column 0, column 1, column 2, column 3, and column 4. Okay, hope you guys understand.